Man, and it's been a crazy journey for you up to this point. You guys have moved mountains. Have to say myself, we had you on stage last year and you shut down the house. What I would like to talk about is our theme this month. Okay, so what's next? Everybody knows we have a new president-elect, Joe Biden, and we also have Kamala Harris as the vice president-elect. So going into 2021, how do you see the cannabis industry shaping up on the business end of things, and what role does NatureTrak play?
I think it's clear to everybody that we saw within the election that there's 4 or 5 other states that now have, legalized or brought some form of cannabis regulation into their state. So this is a train that's not stopping. And, whether it was, the former president or the new group with Biden and Kamala Harris coming in, like cannabis is going to be on the forefront of what moves the country. Unfortunately, we had this pandemic with COVID, and we're social distancing right now. So I mean, that says it all right there.
Yeah.
But there has to be something for the stimulus that we had. There's going to be something that needs to revitalize our economy because there's funds that are being spent that we don't have any tracking for really, like, or recourse for. And so cannabis is one of those emerging industries, the emerging industry right now that's going to look at, stabilizing the economy. And as we're approaching 2021, looking at cannabis being, quote unquote, essential business, thriving during, this pandemic time, and then on the cusp of this 2021 where there's going to be a surge. The businesses that made it through this time are going to become, giants or behemoths for, the years to come. Because if you were able to sustain during, this tumultuous time, but not only sustain, if you're able to grow, this is when you're able to make your mark. And we've seen that similar with our company. We had a lot of high hopes and some great visions and some milestones that we were looking to hit for 2020, and then COVID happened. And so we had to reprioritize. And what we were able to do was to take this negative and actually turn it into a positive, because we were able to make strides on not only solidifying our platform, but expanding our service offerings. And what we essentially have created and what we set out and our goal for 2020 and coming into 2021 was to create what we call cannabis banking as a service. And essentially what that means is that we provide compliance and risk management no matter where you stand in the supply chain. We have our track and trace offering, which we started with, which we do have contracts in government areas. We have our risk management platform, which we are currently selling to financial institutions to bank the cannabis industry. We've now acquired a company called Copacetic Strategies, which is a consultant group out of Denver, Colorado. And what they provide is the BSA AML compliance from not only just the bank and financial institution perspective, but from the government side. So it really solidifies our offerings on being able to be consultants with the banks and when they're coming in there. And then we also had a strategic alliance with Simplifia, who's one of the top cannabis compliance companies in the industry, as well as HDCS, which is another huge consulting group out of Colorado, which spans from banking, where their leadership comes from 30 to 40 plus years from banking, but not just being in the banking industry, actually being bank presidents and running banks. And so we've created this cannabis banking as a service so that no matter where you're at, Whether you're tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, meaning you are an operator or you're an ancillary company like ourselves, like NatureTrak, and being a technology provider, or you're a tier 3 where you may be, a landlord or insurance company, protecting said cannabis operator, cannabis company. You now have a compliance, you now have visibility, you now have a platform that you can tap into with an exposed API that can give you the valuable data and on these operators so that you know that you're dealing with the legal, safe operators. Our whole goal with cannabis banking as a service is to not only be able to serve the cannabis industry, but serve it safely and profitably.